9:03 here on News Radio WRVA. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Richmond's Morning News, either you wake up with us or you've already fallen behind. Got a chance to talk with Governor Glenn Youngkin. Brett Sadler, retired U.S. Navy captain from the Heritage Foundation, joined us. And we've had a conversation. We'll continue our conversation. It's our Thursday chat with Governor Jim Gilmore. He joins us on Thursdays here on News Radio WRVA. Although, Governor Gilmore, I won't be here next week. I am actually taking a group of WRVA listeners to Ireland for 10 days, so Gary will be sitting in my stead.
Well, have a good time. The original Gilmores came over from Northern Ireland, I believe, in 1843. So you're going to have a good time over there. I've been once.
I told you when I went to Italy last fall, that's the first time I'd ever been anywhere internationally. So now I'm kind of looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun trip, a special trip, and we get to go with WRVA listeners, which makes it even better.
You'll have a great time, Rich. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about the Commonwealth. Just a couple days to go. This gerrymandering has certainly caught everybody's attention. If they weren't paying attention, they're paying attention now. Millions of dollars have poured into this Commonwealth. Right now, it's leading by 5 points in the latest polls, but I thought it's very interesting. We're completely polarized. Democrats overwhelmingly support it. Republicans overwhelmingly don't support it, but independents are breaking towards a no vote. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that the independents are being sensible about this, and they're not trying to deliver Virginia's democracy just to one party, the Democrat Party. Instead, the independents are saying, wait a minute, we want to have a choice between the two parties, and the Democrats are trying to crush that. So that's really what's, I think, going on there. But by the way, before I get too far into this, let me mention that people can reach out to me at the email address of gilmoreambassador@gmail.com. Anybody sends me a message to gilmoreambassador@gmail.com, we'll respond and also get you on a list to talk about what we're doing. The second thing is next week, I'd like to talk about this Orban defeat in Hungary. That was a big move forward, but it addresses the conservative movement in America and in Virginia. We'll get to that. But to your point on this referendum, it is, I listened to Governor Youngkin, and of course I was on last week talking about this. It is absolutely vital that people listening to me now go to the polls and vote no. This is a broad-based Democrat goal to destroy the democracy in Virginia by rigging all the elections and making it almost certain that the Democrats will win. Now, as I've said before, if this succeeds, if the yes votes prevail, why would any Republican voter vote in a congressional election when they know that the outcome is going to be the Democrats going to win? Why would any donor give to a Republican candidate? Why would anybody vote when the decision is already rigged to be a particular thing? This goes back to the old Democrat machine of years ago that controlled everything. When I entered politics, I made a decision I was going to bring balance into the Virginia political system, and I did. Together with a lot of Republicans that had worked for a long time on this, we brought a two-party system, a legitimate two-party system into Virginia. This now is a power grab in order to reverse history and to destroy the Republican ability to offer candidates at the congressional level. And that's going to have an impact on the political organization of the Republicans statewide, and it's going to mean that the Republican Party will diminish and diminish. And that's the goal. And by the way, they say this is temporary. It's not temporary. This is going to rig the elections in this year, 26, and then again in 28, and then again in 30, and maybe even in 32, and that ain't temporary. This is going to be a power grab that's going to have lasting, meaningful change if the yes votes win. The yes votes are in trying to destroy the democracy. The no votes are trying to preserve it, and that's the reality.
Take us back then, before I moved to the Commonwealth and before, like you said, when you first got involved in politics here in Virginia. Take me back to what it was like when it was one party rule. The bird machine was omnipotent.
Yeah, well, that was an old days of Virginia politics, and I was determined to not let those old days go into the 21st century. And I think I had success by bringing the first Republican majorities into the legislature. When I was coming along in politics, the old Dems always said, well, you can just offer candidates, but every 10 years, we're just going to redistrict you out, and the Republicans will never have a fair chance to participate. Well, I thought that was wrong. And so we created a situation which we brought in during my administration to actually make the Republicans legitimate people who could run. This is trying to reverse that history. Now, that old machine was intended to be detrimental to African Americans. That was what it was all about. This machine that they're trying to create right now will be detrimental to everybody. This is going to disenfranchise millions of Virginians who will no longer see any point in voting because the outcome is going to be rigged. That's what they're doing. Now, the excuse is Trump, and I get all that. But the fact is we have a higher duty here to maintain the democracy here in Virginia. And this is no way to do this. This is absolutely wrong. People have got to get to the polls and vote no. If this thing passes, it's going to alter and distort Virginia politics, frankly, forever, probably.
They say politics makes strange bedfellows. So I look to see birds of a feather run together. And the fact that they're having a virtual rally, tele-rally, whatever you call it, and Gavin Newsom wants to poke his nose into Virginia politics and appear with Abigail Spanberger, and Elizabeth Warren is going to go in with that just for fun. What does that say to you? What does that say to the voters of Virginia? I look at Gavin Newsom as one of the worst governors that we have in the country. Completely. I mean, I'll put it to you this way, sir. George Allen always says that people vote with their feet. I don't know if you know this, but in California, you cannot find a U-Haul truck to rent one way to move out of the state because there's not enough trucks. If you want to move out of the state of California, the only way you get a U-Haul truck, because of the high demand of people leaving, is you've got to return it back empty. Otherwise, you're not getting a truck. That's how bad the mass exodus in California is. And now he wants to bring his CA to my VA. I say no.
No, I don't think we ought to be following the lead of Gavin Newsom and Elizabeth Warren. And to that point, Governor Spanberger blew me away this week by signing a bill that says that Virginia's electoral votes will go to the popular vote winner nationwide. Now, think about that for a minute. That means that Virginians are voting in a presidential election, and we vote opposite to the general popular vote that they do in California, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois. Our votes don't count. Our electoral votes will automatically go to the popular vote winner. That means that the Virginia election is kind of pointless. And it's by the way, look, I listened to Governor Youngkin. I think he was absolutely right, and everything that he said. And this is really an emergency. Look, the gerrymandering and on this referendum is awful. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's unpolitical. It's designed to create a one-party system again in Virginia, just the Democrats, and it's wrong. But this signatory of trying to nullify Virginia's electoral votes is astounding that something like that would go on. Not to mention, of course, all the other things that are going on right now, the tax increases, the attacks on our Second Amendment rights, the revocation of tax opportunities for people that are dealing with Virginia's history. The things are just really upside down right now, Rich, in Richmond.
You know how proud I am to live here. We've talked about that. You know how much it meant to me when you said that I'm a Virginian now. That meant a lot.
Sure you are.
I look at what I see right now in Virginia, and I feel like it's deja vu again, sir. I see what these policies did to the great state of California, the golden state, California, an amazing place to grow up. But I saw what it's become with all of these policies. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world are people in Virginia wanting to repeat the policies that bring crime, homelessness, despair, economic malaise? In California, there's one big, strong section of the middle class, and those are public workers. And it's either people that are ultra wealthy or people that are very poor, and everybody else has moved out because the state's so bad. And I'm looking at this Commonwealth of Virginia, and it's breaking my heart because it took California 40 years to become what it is today. And I see Virginia trying to do that in 2 months.
Listen, I have confidence in the people of America, and I have confidence in the people of Virginia. I can't imagine that the yes votes would prevail in this kind of referendum right now. I think the people of Virginia, and you made the point that independents break strongly to the no side. You know, I can't imagine that the people of Virginia are going to vote to eliminate their own democracy. This generation, the generation that gives up Virginia's and America's democracy. It's a terrible situation. I can't believe it. And I voted no, and I hope that everybody will hurry to the polls, because you see this wrongdoing that they're proposing to do with this rigged election proposal. They're actually asking the people of Virginia to become complicit in this, but they're by this fake advertising that they're doing. They say, "Oh, you got to vote yes to eliminate the political grab." Well, they're doing the political grab. It's as plain as the nose on your face.
It's completely illogical. It's completely illogical. I've got 45 seconds here. So can I ask you this? I'm just going to ask you to do this for me, if you don't mind. Believe it or not, we have a lot of liberals and independents and conservatives that listen to this radio show. Take 30 seconds and talk to those that are leaning towards voting yes, that are staunch Democrats, independents that haven't made up their mind. For those that are either supporting this or thinking about supporting this, what do you say to them?
Well, I say this. I say a lot of outside money is coming in to try to mislead people and to get them to go to the polls and vote yes. But just think about it. The argument's being made that this is temporary. It's not temporary. It's going to distort at least 3, if not 4, congressional elections going forward. And then you create some sense of permanency when you do something like that. And the Republican Party at that point will be helpless in terms of being created. So the point is that this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong, and people need to go to the polls and reject this. This is it's a bald-faced power grab. Listen, everybody, we've got now balanced districts that were created by an independent group, and now they're proposing to change the Virginia law so that they go 10-1 Democrat. Now, it's just plain as a nose on your face that's a political power grab. How can people be misled by this? It's perfectly clear, and people need to vote no and restore some fairness and balance and not allow that kind of thing to actually be created, Rich.
Sir, thank you so much. You know how much I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. I will catch up with you. I'll miss you next week, but I'll be back the week after that. And you and I will have to catch up after we find out what happens on April 21st.
Well, have a good time in Ireland. It's a great place.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. Governor Jim Gilmore, our weekly conversation with the former